Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thanks for watching. I got guys an update on a major winter storm threat that we have brewing here for the eastern United States. We're going to go over all the latest details on all the aspects of this storm system, all just the impacts that it's going to bring. We got to talk about a potential snow threat for sections of the interior Northeast, as well as some pretty fierce, damaging winds up the East Coast. I've got all the details coming right up, right? So thank you for joining me here on this Sunday afternoon. We're going to go over once again, just all the new information on our upcoming snowstorm and just storm system here. But you got two things going on right now. All right, most of the country is dry, but for the most part, but we do have two areas of low pressure that are causing some precipitation. We'll start up here in the north central United States, where we do have a pretty nice band of snow and some isolated spots of rainfall starting to move across places like Minnesota into the Dakotas. All right, really north of this line here is where we're starting to see some of that heavier snowfall. All right, we are still mostly staying as rainfall for sections of South Dakota into North Dakota. All right, but that will continue to move its way over to the east over the next couple of days. And then you can also see down here in the southern United States, we do have a little bit of shower and thunderstorm activity. Let me move our map down here so you can see the full picture, all right? Oh, but down here in the deep south near the Gulf Coast, we do have a little band of some showers and thunderstorms. Right, this is going to progress over the next couple of days, and will be our kind of our start to our storm system. This is actually going to cause a severe weather threat as we get into most likely what's looking like our Tuesday. All right, we do have the chance for seeing some isolated damaging wind gusts, maybe even a tornado or two. So we'll have to watch out for that. But both of these piece of energy are going to kind of continue to move off to the east, and basically this is going to shape our pattern, and just kind of everything's going to come together here for our next, major and big winter storm of the season here. So we move over to the alerts. All right, so as of right now, you do have blizzard warnings going out for sections of extreme eastern Montana there in the orange shade. All right, you do also have a lot of winter weather advisories going out for some areas across sections of northern Minnesota there into northeastern North Dakota. Also, some lingering areas of snowfall up in northeastern Maine there. We also do have more winter weather advisories out there. And then for the rest of the country, we also do have some wind advisories that's going out for sections of western North Dakota, western South Dakota. All right, definitely some gusty winds associated with that piece of energy. And we also do have I believe this is a special weather statement for some of these areas that are just behind that rain snow line to the point where you can actually see some of that snow in North Dakota. All right. We do also have a lot of areas out here under dense fog advisories across the mountainous regions of the western United States. So just be aware that there is possible hazardous travel, and that visibility can definitely be significantly reduced. So be aware of that. You have winter storm warnings up here into sections of northern Washington State, and then you also do have some red flag warnings down here into Southern California. But that's pretty much it for the most part, right? So we move on here to our Storm Prediction Center. This is our SBC outlook. All right, we have a margin risk on day 3. All right, this is pretty small, but I do think this will get progressively larger and maybe even upgraded over the next couple of days. But you can see this is going out for sections of southern Alabama into sections of southwestern Georgia there. Right, this is level 1 out of 5 risk. Probabilistically, this is a 5% risk of seeing a severe thunderstorm within 25 miles of a given location. All right, but this is going out for Montgomery, Alabama, Mobile, Alabama, Columbus, Georgia, Macon, Georgia, and Albany, Georgia. So if you know anybody out here, just let them know that there is going to be some there are going to be some significant storms in the area. So we'll have to continue to watch that. All right. But we move over here to the NAMS 3K model. We take a look at what these storms are going to look like. So this is what happens today. You can see a lot of our showers and storms kind of continue to move through here. All right, the environment is not really unstable. It's pretty stable for the most part. So this is probably going to stay. These are probably going to stay as non-severe storms, just some regular showers and thunderstorms that are going to rumble through here. All right, so at this point we are getting into tonight, and notice how this actually does intensify quite a bit. And I do think that behind this little line here of showers, we may see a little bit of intensification here with our line, and this is when we have the chance for some relatively weak severe thunderstorms. So I do think that there will be definitely a threat for some lightning and thunder, but also maybe some isolated stronger wind gusts. Not saying we're going to get any severe warnings at all, but I do think that there is a threat for these for some of these to be strong to severe. All right, but for the most part, it just seems like a pretty breezy and pretty wet night here for folks out in the Dixie Alley, and this continues to push off to the east. So at this point, we're getting into the middle of the night. This is tonight into tomorrow, and this line is starting to break apart a little bit. But you still have some isolated showers and thunderstorms that are kind of rumbling through here. Still strong to severe storms, but most likely subsevere. But I do think it's possible we will see a marginal risk that'll be issued for tomorrow. But as far as I know, we don't have one at the moment. So we put this in motion. Watch what happens with this. This event peaks at really around 10 p.m. tonight, when you get a little isolated damage wind threat across like extreme, like far western Mississippi into northern Louisiana. But look what happens as we go forward into the night. This thing just continues to decrease, and then at this point, we're getting to tomorrow morning. You're waking up to almost nothing out here across sections of, Georgia and Alabama. All right, so this is actually not the main event. Look what happens behind this. You quickly get another area of low pressure. You can even see that up into Texas. I believe that might be a glitch from the GFS, but there is another area of low pressure starting to form down here, and you do see moisture starting to kind of rebuild down here into southern Louisiana, and then you're up for round two. And this is definitely shaping up to impact sections of the Dixie Alley when our marginal risk is, which should be for Tuesday. All right, so this is getting into right around noon. This is about lunchtime tomorrow. And you're pretty clear. Just you got some clouds, maybe some showers and storms, but really nothing much other than that. But look what happens as we put this in motion. You get a lot of showers, a lot of moisture that's starting to build up in this region. You're going to start to get your dew points high, because look at where your jet stream is. Your 540 line is all the way up into Missouri, into Illinois, into Kansas. So you have a lot of room for this moisture to just continue to kind of flow into the region. So once those afternoon, daytime heating hours kind of come upon us, that's when we're going to start to see our temperatures rise, and our dew points will rise as well. So that's when these showers and storms may eventually be able to fire up into some strong severe storms as we get into the afternoon hours. So this is I believe this is Tuesday. And so we continue to go throughout the day. This is 4 in the morning. Still just some showers and storms. We go to 9 in the morning, and you can actually kind of see, you get your 1012 millibar low. This is starting to take on a little bit more of a formal look here, because you do have a tiny, 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 very kind of narrow line of storms that's starting to form here. And sure enough, you'll be able to see that much more clearly as we put this in motion. And so we go a little bit forward in time, and boom, these storms get much stronger. And now we have definitely, you could say, an isolated damage wind threat across sections of Georgia into Alabama. All right, but really, what it looks like for the most part is when we end off the run here, this line, the contrast between the line and where there's no precipitation is very sharp. So that's a signature for a damaging wind gust. We may see an isolated squall line get blown through here, and who knows? Because maybe before that, these cells look very minor, but we could have an isolated tornado threat, like I said in the beginning of the video, because these cells could definitely produce spin up tornadoes just from the kind of looks of them. So if you do get enough shear and instability in this region, there is a possibility for like one or two very brief minor spin up tornadoes. We're not talking about long track strong tornadoes, but it is possible. I'm not going to rule it out. All right, we'll obviously get more information as we get a little bit closer to this time frame. But it definitely looks like, as we end off the run here, more of a damaged wind gust threat, definitely overnight threat as well, because this thing is just now starting to get started here, and it's already 7 p.m. This is Tuesday evening, so it looks like an overnight damaged wind threat across sections of Alabama into Georgia, maybe even to South Carolina. So we'll have to watch out for that. But if you're north or around that low pressure center, you're probably going to stay out of the severe zone for now. But if you're south of that low pressure, just be on the lookout, because you definitely could end up with a damaging squall line moving into your location. Then you can also see very clearly here that cold front really advancing. This is getting down really far south. We end off the run with this thing just continuing to push farther south into the deep south here. You can see getting all the way down to Dallas Fort Worth area, into Tennessee, all of Arkansas, now advancing into Louisiana. So this is going to be a pretty powerful and dynamic cold front here. But this is really what's shaping up our upcoming major storm system. So this kind of brings us to our next topic. This is going to be we're going to be looking at the GFS here for our upcoming storm. So I will say it has been differing on the position of this low, and that's going to be a huge factor in what we look at in just a moment. But we'll start. We'll go hour by hour with this storm. So this is what happens as we get forward in motion. You can see we do get our showers and storms that rumble through sections of Tennessee and the Dixie Alley. All right, and then you get your first surge of moisture. This is not our actual storm system. This is just our first low pressure. Watch what happens down here into Georgia, the Carolinas, the Southeast. Watch what happens here as we get another low pressure to form. Boom, right there. We get a kind of handoff between our first initial slug of moisture up here in the Northeast. We get a handoff between our other low pressure that's going to be generating our severe weather event. All right, this eventually takes over, and you can see it actually does. The storm slows down with enough time here that this cold front actually catches up to the backside, and now you already have some snow that's going to break out here across sections of southern Ohio into northeastern Kentucky. Now, it really depends on how quickly this cold air advances because it's going to definitely need to act fast in order to kind of, switch this rain over to snow because it's not snowing in Nashville. It's not snowing in Boone. It's not snowing in any of these mountainous regions unless you're in the very high and, the highest upper elevations, but it is not snowing in these flat areas here. So we really are just kind of waiting for that cold air to really be an influence on this storm, and we put this farther in motion. This is getting into Wednesday afternoon, I believe here, and you finally get this to happen, but you get a lot of snow that just explodes here on the backside. You all of a sudden, if you're anywhere west of this low pressure, if you're far west of this low pressure, you're talking about heavy snow. Now moving into sections of western Pennsylvania, Erie, you're going to get another intense snowstorm here. A lot of snow for Erie. You get a lot of snow into sections of eastern Ohio. All right, look at western West Virginia. I mean, you're getting a dump load of snowfall here. You get a thumping of snow for sections of western Kentucky here, extreme southwestern Virginia here. It's possible you're going to get very heavy wet snow, and it is snowing in Nashville. It's snowing in Tennessee, and this would definitely bring a really big upper elevation kind of Appalachian snowfall event. And this gets even heavier, and you actually do see some of these pink areas starting to show up here for sections of West Virginia. So you're getting just, tons of snowfall out here. It's snowing in Boone. It's snowing in, still maybe even snowing in Nashville, but I think Nashville at this point would be out of the clear, but still, or I guess out of the woods there, but it's still snowing in sections of western PA. I mean, Erie's still getting dumped on with snow here. So this is a very substantial winter storm that you've got for all these areas. So apologize for moving around like that, but you can see just a lot of snow really breaks out across this region. We just get a ton of snow, really all the way from Tennessee up to upstate New York into Pennsylvania and western Virginia. But that's pretty wild stuff. And you can also see with that low pressure, it's really starting to strengthen now. Sub 1,000 millibars. So this is a 998 millibar low, bringing a ton of moisture up from the southeastern United States. Look at South Carolina, North Carolina, just getting absolutely dumped on. This would be really high winds. All right, but we put this to the next hour here. This is getting overnight Wednesday into Thursday. We're at the 21Z hour, which should be, I don't know when this is, but this should be like 9, 10, 11 p.m., I want to say. But look how much this really intensifies. All this rain, all the way up from eastern PA down to North Carolina. This is really intensifying to a big line here of storms. I mean, this would definitely bring some lightning, some thunder. I mean, this is just heavy downpours across this region. I'm not saying it now, but this could definitely bring some damage wind gusts. It does have the kind of characteristics of a squall in here, but this is technically kind of just pushing its way off to the east. But I mean, this is riding right around that low pressure center, just a really strong storm. But this is still strengthening by the minute here. This is down to 993 millibars. You just get intense, heavy downpours all across this region here, and then still a lot of snow on the backside. It's still snowing here into Erie. It's still snowing into pretty much all of western PA. The entire state of Pennsylvania is kind of split in half between the western half getting a lot of snowfall and the eastern half staying as all rain here. But it's snowing in Erie, it's snowing in Buffalo. I mean, you're getting snow pretty far north at this point as this storm continues to advance. All right, but along this line, definitely some isolated gusty winds here, damaging wind gusts, and then also that very, very intense heavy rainfall. And all of this is just gonna kind of push off to the northeast as we get overnight. So everything's really gonna peak in intensity overall really as we go from Wednesday night into Thursday morning. And then this kind of just continues to move through here. And you can really see this line very well. And this is now sub 990. So this is a 989 millibar low. You have a huge, once again, kind of technical squall line moving through here across sections of the mid-Atlantic into New England, riding just south of that low pressure, and then you get just a ton of snowfall here into the interior northeast. We'll switch things over, we'll switch our perspective over to the northeast United States. Let's pull this up here, and then we'll get back to where we left off. So you can see just our entire storm moving through here, but I mean this is still going strong and still deepening in our low pressure. I mean this is going to go sub 980 if this keeps up. We're at 985 millibars here, with still a ton of rainfall kind of just sweeping across southern New England into the coastal regions of the Northeast, and then you get a lot of backside snowfall here. I mean, look how heavy it's snowing here in upstate New York, western New York State. This is snowing. It's snowing in Watertown. It's snowing in Buffalo. I mean, everyone out here. I-90 corridor is getting more snow on top of how much lake effect snow we've had, because it's not warming up in this region. So that snow is not melting. That's still that all that snow is still there. So if you're gonna get more snow on top of that, this is going to cause some serious problems here. But you're getting a lot of snow for sections of PA into upstate New York, and then you're getting a lot of rain, but also some very intense winds here across the Northeast. I mean, you're getting wind-driven rain all across coastal regions of the Northeast, and then this continues to move out. But this just brings a ton of snowfall and a lot of rain. I mean, I keep saying those words, but I mean, this is really all you got to say. And that kind of just continues to move out. I will say there's a possibility for anyone along this line, the 540 line, kind of where it divides the rain and snow. There's a potential for some ice, and we'll have to talk about that as we get a little bit closer to this time frame. But I do think that some freezing rain is possible, especially along kind of the border here of upstate New York, maybe into Massachusetts here. But I think it's all around very intense storm, and then that kind of moves on out. But behind it, there's also a potential for some more lake effect snow, because you have that northern stream energy behind this cold front. So that's pretty much going to also generate another favorable pattern for some lake effect snow. So you can really see this cold front very well. It's going to move on in after that snowstorm, but really intense impacts just looking at the precipitation map with that, but then we'll get into the more specific details. So off of that run, that was the 12Z GFS, that was the afternoon run. With snow totals, all right, this is not an official forecast. This is not a forecast, so don't tell all of your family that there's going to be 10 inches of snow in Erie, Pennsylvania. This is just the first initial kind of possible outlook here from the GFS. So you start out down south. All right, this is into the kind of Boone area. Familiar out here with kind of the border of Tennessee, North Carolina, into Kentucky and Virginia. All right, it's looking like we could definitely have some substantial snow totals, especially for those higher elevations. But a lot of 4 to 6 inch range kind of showing up here for a lot of these areas. I mean, the farther to the west you go, the more this decreases. I mean, but this kind of peaks at the 4 to 6 inch range in some areas, even here into extreme eastern Kentucky. We're seeing up to maybe even 9 inches of snow. So a lot of snow is definitely possible for these upper elevations, I'd say. Really just depends on how much elevation you've got. But I mean, a lot of snow, very substantial snow totals here across West Virginia, extreme Western Virginia, extreme Eastern Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, everyone out here really seeing, really the average being 4 to 6 inches, but a lot of areas seeing more than that, maybe closer to 8 to 10, or then maybe a little bit less, closer to 2 to 4 inches. But over, across the board, just some really really substantial snow totals. So we'll shift our focus here to the northeast. If I can pull this up here, and we'll take a look at your totals for this storm system. So we bring this out to when this thing kind of comes in, and you can see pretty similar totals. But upstate New York, it was snowing for most of this event. I mean, you had just many hours. It looks like over 24 hours of just continuous heavy snowfall. So that kind of explains why you see the much heavier totals out here, where in Watertown we're all the way up to a foot of snow, and this is on top of how much lake effect some of you guys have been getting. And we see some pretty substantial snow totals pretty far south. I mean, Oneonta, that area, about 6 to 8 inches. Cooperstown, um, maybe even Albany. Albany could definitely get snow from this. I mean, it's possible. From the GFS, it's pretty far south where we're seeing that snowfall. All right, but Buffalo area is definitely 6 to 8 inches possible based off the GFS. All right, Erie getting up to 10 inches. So, once again, across the board, just really heavy snowfall. Look at Maine here getting 2 to 4 inches. Vermont, New Hampshire also seeing kind of that 6 to 8 inch range. But everyone out here really has the opportunity to see anywhere from really 2 to maybe even closer to a foot of snow, 2 inches to a foot of snow. So, just a really potent event here, and I do think this will definitely change over the next couple of days. So we'll keep you guys updated on what the GFS continues to show. But it's looking like for the most part that we're going to see the heavy snow and the highest totals across upstate New York. And I'm not just saying that because the GFS is showing that, but I do agree with the GFS because it takes time for that cold air to kind of fully switch over that rainfall to snow on the backside. So it's going to take enough time for that to happen to the point where it's going to everything's going to happen, everything's going to finish happening once this moves into the northeast. So that makes sense. So basically all that rain is going to be changed over to snow by the time this moves into the northeast. So that's why we're seeing the higher totals in upstate New York, and I think that's definitely going to be kind of a model trend over the next couple of days here. So we move over to our rainfall outlook. All right, this is basically just looking at how much rain we're going to see out here. So we'll start in the deep south. All right, definitely some high totals out here. Look at south of Atlanta. This is central Georgia. 2 to 4 inches of rain is certainly possible. You move into the Carolinas, interior Carolina, seeing also kind of the similar amounts here of 2.5 inches, anywhere from 2.5 to 4 inches of rain is definitely possible. All right, and then coastal Carolinas, kind of a little bit farther to the east of where that main line is going to move through, but still some, anywhere from a quarter to an inch of rain is definitely possible. But you go into Florida here, this is the Panhandle. I mean, still 2 to 4 inches possible. Southern Louisiana, just the Gulf Coast in general, definitely 2 to 4 inches possible. All right, Mississippi, Alabama, kind of the Dixie Alley here, 1 to 2 inches across the board. All right, same thing for Tennessee, but this is going to definitely change over to snow, so you're probably not going to see rain totals like this unless you're farther south, because once this gets into Ohio, you're most likely going to see just all snow for this event. So this is probably not actually going to happen if you're talking about like Ohio here. All right, but what about southern New England? All right, you look at, this is New Jersey here. All right, anywhere from 2 to 4 inches certainly possible. Philadelphia, Delmarva, 1 to 2 inches. DC, 1.5. But as you get into New England, totals definitely get a little bit higher here. Southern New England, 2 to 4 inches certainly possible because that squall line does move through, which probably would bring a hour or two of some heavy downpours. So just be aware of that. But I mean, look at Massachusetts, widespread 2 to 4 inches. Vermont, New Hampshire, 2 to 4 inches as well. Maine getting 2 inches. So a lot of rainfall out here. This is going to bring the threat for flooding. This is definitely I would consider excessive rainfall. All right, but this is definitely going to be a drought buster for these areas. I think this is definitely going to kind of end our big streak here of consecutive days without precipitation. But we are slowly but surely starting to see a little bit more rainfall. I guess not rain, but mostly snow in this region. But hopefully this washout will definitely officially end that drought there. But a lot of rain across the board, a lot of excessive rainfall, which does bring the threat for some flooding here. So we quickly take a look here at our excessive rainfall outlook from the Weather Prediction Center. You can actually see we do have a level 2 out of 4 slight risk for flash flooding here, and excessive rainfall across all of Maine, across most of New Hampshire, and extreme not extreme, but portions of eastern Connecticut, eastern Massachusetts, and all of Rhode Island here. So you actually also do have a little bit of eastern Long Island included in this slight risk. This may get upgraded over time depending on if those totals go up. All right, but it really looks like the closer to the coast you are, the higher the chances are for seeing some excessive rainfall. I think this will definitely spread a little bit farther inland, so we may see, New York City I-95 corridor become included in this. But as of right now, this is what we've got standing, and then you've got a pretty broad marginal risk extending from all of Vermont down to North Carolina and these outer banks here. So up and down the eastern seaboard, would definitely bring the potential for some excessive rainfall and some flash flooding with that possible squall line to move through. All right, but you look at day 3, and you can actually see that down here into Georgia and Alabama. We do have that slight risk. Day 2, even another slight risk, really centered around the New Orleans area. And then finally, for today, we also do have a marginal risk extending from Louisiana into sections of Tennessee. So, another thing we need to look at is our winds. So this has been a huge story that people have started to notice here. The GFS has been putting out some very concerning runs here, all right, with some really intense winds because you're gonna get this storm is gonna push moisture up from the Atlantic and it's gonna pull moisture into the center of low pressure, and that's gonna create a very intense and strong lower level jet. So if you're in the way of that if you're in the way of that wind stream and that jet stream, or you're going to get some really intense winds, and that's what we see here on the GFS. All right, this is 8 a.m. on Wednesday, and we already have offshore winds gusting as high as 50 miles per hour here, and 30 to 40 mile per hour gusts across the coastline of New England here in the Mid Atlantic. But also look at the Outer Banks here of North Carolina. You're approaching tropical storm force winds here. We take this out further, and look how much stronger these winds get. I mean, all of a sudden, you're getting into the overnight hours of Wednesday. All right, look at the Outer Banks gusting to 62 miles per hour here near Kitty Hawk, Avon, Havelock, Wilmington. These are tropical storm force winds, and this is not only for the Outer Banks, but all the way up the East Coast. We're talking about 50 to 60 mile per hour gusts from all the way from coastal Maryland, Delaware, into coastal New Jersey. I mean, look at Atlantic City gusting to 60 miles per hour. Long Island, 50 to 60 mile per hour gusts, and this gets even stronger as we get into the far overnight hours. Look how intense these winds get. Look at south of Long Island. 70 to 80 mile per hour gusts that we're seeing here. I mean, this is hurricane force wind gusts that we have on the 12Z GFS here. But all of coastal New Jersey gusting from 60 to 70 miles per hour. Long Island gusting 60 to 70 miles per hour as well. But this is pretty far inland. I mean, this would bring widespread power outages to New York City. This would bring widespread high wind warnings out here. But I mean, look at Connecticut. Look at Yonkers. I mean, this area out here. I mean, decently far inland, Poughkeepsie, you guys could get as high. I mean, GFS wants you guys to get as high as 50 to 60 miles per hour, and I think that's certainly possible. And if you looked at the 60 run from this morning, one run ago, all right, the low pressure center moved probably about 100 miles to the so basically we've got is the 12Z GFS has the low pressure center moving right pretty much right through kind of the border of New Jersey and Pennsylvania. All right, the 60 had low pressure moving right through Long Island. All right, that's the difference between having the strongest of winds, offshore here, from the populated areas, but also impacting, Cape Cod and coastal Massachusetts, to having abruptly, possibly even up to hurricane force winds impacting some of the most populated areas in the United States. So there's a big question mark that needs to be answered, and that's why we need to look at these model trends very, very closely to see what that exact position of the low pressure will be. All right, but southern Long Island gusting to close to hurricane force here, and just into southern New England in general. I mean, you're getting really intense winds, and you take this out in another frame, and look at this. You're getting wind gusts over 80 miles per hour out here. Offshore here of southern New England. I mean, this is really intense, but like Montauk, you're getting well over hurricane force winds. Nantucket, you're getting close to hurricane force winds. Cape Cod, definitely over 70 mile an hour gusts, but across the board, you're seeing 60 to 70 mile an hour gusts, which would definitely bring absolutely just widespread power outages here. all across the eastern United States. But you just see here 60 to 70-mile-an-hour gusts from Boston all the way down to the Outer Banks of North Carolina. So there's going to be a massive swath here of damage wind gusts, and this is going to be a big storm we need to talk about. I mean, this is going to be the biggest, if not, this is going to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest story of this snowstorm. So I mean, if you put this rain and this wind together, I mean, you're going to get a nasty combination through some of these areas across New England. And then you also look at Maine. I don't want to leave you guys out because take a look at this. You're also gusting close to hurricane force, even well up into Maine. I mean, look at Caribou gusting close to 70 miles an hour. I mean, you're getting hurricane force winds in a northern Maine, which is very far inland, but down east Maine getting close to 80 miles per hour. So this is potentially a little bit overdone, but this has definitely popped up on multiple runs of the GFS. So there's a possibility for some very serious wins. But man, these wind gusts are going to be strong. New York City to Boston, Trenton, DC, everybody out here has the potential to see 60 to 70, if not even close to 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts if this actually results. So that's all I got for you guys. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. So stay tuned. We have a lot to go over the next couple of days. We'll continue to watch every aspect of the storm system here. All right, but things are definitely looking much more active, and I do think things will get very concerning as we get closer and closer to this time frame. So we'll keep an eye out on those winds. We'll keep you guys posted on those snow totals. So if you haven't already, head over to my X account. I'm much more active on there. So in between updates, I will be posting kind of mini updates on model trends over on my X account. So please go be sure to go follow that. And I'll put the link of that in the description below. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.